So, I just filmed this video and apparently didn't hit record. I thought I had, but there was nothing there until I heard my camera actually shut off, and then I was like, what was that sound? And I went and looked and there was nothing. Today we've got some rooibos tea that I put a little bit of cream and vanilla in, and it's so good. Alright, so we are going to get into some books. I'm just going to go in the order that I read them and hope I can be as eloquent the second time around as I was the first, because I was on a roll. So the first book that I finished this month was on my TBR, and it's Hunting Lucky by Paul Michaels. The man who developed the training system that we use for our dog wrote this book. And it is just a really fun book. He's such a fun guy. He's a very good speaker in general and storyteller, so I figured his writing style would be very similar to that. It is. He's a super, super nice guy. There's a hilarious story in here. I'm sure it wasn't hilarious while it was happening, but to read it after the fact, there's a story where he gets in a bit of a pickle while he's kayaking, and I've definitely had my own ridiculous experience and scary experience being in a kayak. And so when I posted this on Instagram that I was reading it, he actually messaged me and we were just laughing about our kayaking stories and stuff. He's a very relatable person. His book is very relatable. I will have the link down below if you know anyone, any hunters or outdoorsmen, outdoorsy type people would probably really enjoy something like this. It's a very short read, so it's not this massive full novel, but he is just really awesome all around guy. And if you know anybody, Christmas is coming, stocking stuffers. And I did give Hunting Lucky 4 stars. I just really enjoyed it and thought it was a fun read. The next book on the list is Oxygen by Carol Casella. Also, I enjoyed this book, but it wasn't my favorite. My sister liked it, I think, more than I did. Carol Casella is an anesthesiologist, and the story is, it's a novel written as a memoir about an anesthesiologist who has a child die on the operating table, and it ends up being due to they're trying to figure out what happened with the anesthesia, because it wasn't the operation that killed her, it was something got messed up with the anesthesia. And so she gets put on a type of leave while they can do the investigation and all of that. And so the story is just her trying to figure out what she did wrong, if she did something wrong, etc., etc. And the twist at the end, I did not see it coming. I had a certain guess, but what I guessed was sort of right, but the way that it happened, I had no idea. So I did think this book was really good. The only reason I dropped it down in stars is because I think it was a little bit too medically driven for me. There was a little bit too much, medicinal talk in it for me. I just felt like it took me out of the story a little bit, but my sister, where she is way more science-minded and has gone to school for kinesiology and stuff and knows a lot of the medical side, she found that really interesting. So depending on where you're coming from, you may really, really like this, but I did think the story was good. I read it in 2 days, and I did give this one 3 stars. The next one I read is The Killing Jar by Jennifer Bosworth. This one I also gave 3 stars. It's a YA urban fantasy, I guess. I feel like the beginning really captured my attention. It had kind of creepy vibes. I thought that it was going to get kind of interesting, and then it turned into a really, I don't know how to explain it. It started off oh, this is kind of creepy, there's murder stuff, and then all of a sudden she's at this hippy dippy convent where she just gets to be all hippy dippy and gets super high all day long every day, and then near the end it gets a little bit creepy-ish again. So I felt it was kind of what is happening in the middle? Where did that storyline go? It was kind of confusing. And then there was just a lot of her being angsty, which she's a teenager, I get it, they're angsty. But I also, I don't know, she just didn't have a lot of personality. It was either, I'm thinking about this guy, or I'm thinking about this guy, or I'm thinking about this guy, I'm thinking about this guy, I'm mad at my mom, I'm mad at my mom. It was just very, kind of meh. I feel the beginning was strong, the ending was okay, the middle was kind of meh. So I did give it 3 stars because this is one of the first, fantasy books I've tried to read besides, Game of Thrones and stuff. So that's where we're sitting with that. I didn't think it was like amazing, but I think definitely a younger audience, like if I was like 13 or 14, I probably would have eaten this up. But I am 28, so that's like, I'm just not quite the demographic, I guess. But I do like some YA stuff, so like, it's hit or miss for me, I guess. The next one I read is Alan Gibney's I Carried You Home, which I love this cover. I really love this cover. It's just, I think it's really nice. But what I do hate is this, like, they called deckled edges or beveled edges? I'm not sure, but I don't like the way that feels. Like when I'm reading, I find it hard to grab the pages. That's like my only complaint. There were parts of this book that were probably like 2 stars, and then there were parts of the book that were like 5 stars. I ended up giving it 4. This was really hard to rate. If you like really morbid, sad endings, well, not sad endings, but like kind of morbid talk, like there's a lot of morbid things that go on, and then there's a lot of like strange conversations, or not conversations, strange things that happen. This book is really hard to explain without like wrecking it. I did do a book talk, so if you want to have like if you want like a spoiler-free review at the beginning and then me talking about why I connected so hard with this book at the end, then definitely check out this card up here. I don't want to go into too much detail right now, but essentially the main character, Ash, his brother dies in a car accident, and his mom, well, he's in a car accident with his mom, and the mom carries him like a mile or 2 through a winter snowstorm all the way home, and then the brother ends up dying once she gets him back home. And then after he dies, she just won't speak to anyone. She locks herself away in her room. She pretty much becomes like a hermit. She doesn't bathe, she doesn't eat, she just is like wasting away in her room. And the son is trying to get her to kind of snap out of this haze that she's in. And then there's a whole bunch of drama around all of that. The ending is not really a happy ending, but it's also not like a sad ending. But it's definitely like there's a couple, like there's a twist in the book that I got really emotional. Like, I get really emotional thinking about the story, and I really enjoyed this, but I don't think this is a book for everyone. I think either you'll really love it like I did, or like you'll absolutely hate it. The next book I read this month is Nicholas Sparks' A Bend in the Road. Not my cup of tea. Not my cup of coffee. Not my cup of anything. This book was... It was so corny, and I guess I should have known that going into it, but I've never read a Nicholas Sparks book before, and after reading I Carried You Home, I really wanted something that was going to be like kind of fluffy and just whatever, like more fun, I guess. But I found this book very frustrating, more so than fun. I thought the characters were kind of weird, and it was like, even the romance, it was like they went on a date, and then it was like, and for the next few months they got closer and closer. You don't get the like the how of they got closer and closer. It was just like, and then this fact happened, and then you jumped ahead. But there was not a lot of like character development or something. And then the main character, obviously his wife has passed away, so he's gloomy. And then he ends up dating his son's teacher. But even the way that comes around, it's like, I met you, I like this person, 2 seconds later they're together. Like, I can get past insta-love, but like something about the fact that this is just romance with other stuff thrown in kind of killed it for me, and I just did not like it. I gave it 2 stars. I don't plan on reading any more Nicholas Sparks books because I don't want to just read them to give them bad reviews, but now that I've tested the waters, I feel like this has just killed this author for me so hard. And it's funny because like A Walk to Remember is one of my favorite movies. The Notebook is one of my favorite movies. I don't mind romance in movies. Like, I felt like this could make a decent movie, but I really hated it book form, which is unlike me because I usually like the book better. After that, I followed it up with Letters to the Lost by Brigid Kemmerer. Oh my gosh, you guys. I loved this book. I thought there was just so many good aspects of this book. Like, just, it was so good. It's about a girl named Juliet whose mom passes away, and when her mom was alive, her mom traveled a lot, and Juliet and her would send letters, handwritten letters back and forth. And then after Juliet's mom dies in a car accident, she continues to leave letters at her mom's grave, and obviously they get thrown away and whatever. But at some point, Declan, a guy who is sentenced to community service in the graveyard, decides to reply back to one of these letters, and then obviously kind of a secret friendship ensues through that. And then you also get to meet Declan's best friend Rev, and they have like the best friendship ever. Like I loved reading about their friendship. I just loved it. And as much as Juliet is like the main character, I feel like I was way more about like Declan's story. Like his story just really, really like pulled at my heartstrings. I loved this book. I loved how everything worked out, or like not worked out, but like how everything ended up. And I just really loved this book. I definitely think it is worth a read, and I gave this 5 stars. The last book that I completed this month is The Glass Castle by Jeanette Walls. My throat is getting dry again. The last book I completed this month is The Glass Castle by Jeanette Walls. I think this was really well written. I liked her writing style. I couldn't stand her parents. Her parents, like, really got my parental gears going. Like, they were grinding so hard. Like, I couldn't imagine being in a place, not even just being in a place, I can't imagine putting myself in a place where my children are actually starving. Like, where they're not being fed on a regular basis. I couldn't imagine being so selfish that you don't care enough to go and work and hold on to a job and get your shit together enough to take care of your kids. And it just, I feel like the author, Jeanette Walls, I feel like she was a very optimistic and resilient child. And her two of her siblings, her brother and her oldest sister, were very much, I think, the same way. They all did really well for themselves, like later on in life, like when they were adults. Unfortunately, her youngest sister seems to have taken the path that her parents took, which her mom was never a drinker, but her mom was like an avid, I don't want to do anything. Like her mom wanted to be an artist. She did not. She had a teaching degree, but she chose not to use it more often than not. The dad seems very intelligent, but unfortunately, he wouldn't hold down a job. He didn't want to have a boss. He didn't want blah, blah, blah. They just didn't work hard to provide for their kids. They like got by the skin of their teeth, and a lot of times they got by because the kids were resilient and resourceful. A lot of really crappy things happened to her that her parents like did nothing about. They didn't verbally abuse or physically abuse the kids, but they definitely were very neglectful and just not good parents. Like they were, like I had to read this in chunks at a time, and then I would have to just set it down because I was literally so frustrated with her parents. But I did give The Glass Castle, I did give it 4 stars. I thought it was really good. I really enjoyed it as much as you can enjoy a story like that. And then last but not least, I decided to give this another try. I know, you can't see what it is. I'll show you. Can you see that? I started reading Jane Eyre. It says, according to this book, I started it 5 years ago, back in 2013, I remember. And I got, as you can see from my old bookmark, about halfway through. And I don't know what happened. I think I just was too busy at the time to give it the attention that it needs. I can read most books very quickly, but I feel like classics, because they're not written in like current English, like they're not written the way people speak now, it takes a little bit more to absorb or to get into the writing. But I am about, I don't know, a fifth of the way through, I guess. I think I'm like 100 pages in or something. I started last night, and I definitely, it's all coming back to me what I did read. At first, I was like, I cannot remember a single thing, and I didn't know if that meant that I didn't like it, if I just couldn't remember. But literally, as soon as I started reading the first page, I remembered like all the stuff that happened when she was with her, not her immediate family, but her aunt and her cousins. And then I remembered everything that was like happening at the school, and I kind of remember like her getting to the wherever it is that she's going. I can't remember what that place is called. But I definitely am enjoying it the second time around, so I don't think I stopped reading it because I didn't like it. I think I just set it down and kind of forgot about it and just stopped reading for a long time. So I am going to try and finish this by like the end of September. There's about 6 days left, which is why I'm filming it now, because I don't think I'm going to start another one after this, and this may take me into October. Anyway, that is all for my September wrap up. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Don't forget to give it a like and give me a comment. What did you read this month? What are you planning on reading next month? Any book recommendations, anything like that? Comment like your favorite booktubers down there. Just like interact with me, because I'm curious, I'm interested, I want to know your thoughts, and I will talk to you all soon. Thanks so much. Bye!